Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the CryptoSparta podcast. We're back after a brief hiatus. Brian was in Chile with the
Yeah,
Penguins.
we're in vacation. Didn't get a chance. No internet in Patagonia, so we
I
are
headed to
here.
the Bitcoin conference as well, so this is like the post Bitcoin conference wrap up episode. But we're kind of gonna say where we are with the markets as usual to start off. And
And then we'll jump in right into the what it was like in the conference. So, like Bitcoin, Ethereum has it had probably like 2 weeks ago. It probably had like a nice like pump, probably like a nice like
got like
bounce back.
43, maybe 44.
And then this past week, people blame it on the CPI announcement. Taxes April 14th or 18th is the day, and people are still selling up until then. So maybe, people are blaming it on that, or maybe it's just a macro kind of bullish or no bearish type of market. And so Bitcoin has, the past or yesterday was when it dipped probably like 10%, one of those 10% drops. And Bitcoin kind of recovered, went down to 40, and now it's at like 41, but it was at 44. And then
And also like Arthur Hayes was doom posting again.
yeah, he had another
30K
prediction,
Bitcoin, 1K
2,500,
ETH or something, or 2,500 ETH.
2,500 ETH, but still, Ethereum dropped from 3,300 to 3,000,
I think 3,000 looks definitely like
and
key
now it
for
bounced back to 3,100.
like 3 and 4 seem about.
Yeah, 40 and 3. Suzu, we like round numbers, right? So for some reason, everything goes, people speculate on what the market's like, but people are just, now the goblins are coming out now that we're dipping.
No, and like overall the macro, the videos from Shanghai are like pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
so yeah, the US might be pretty good um as far as COVID control. I was just in Chile.
Inflation though is like
And
killing
in
the
yeah,
stuff.
well, inflation, COVID outside of the US, COVID is still around. Like people are still wearing masks. Like,
They're talking about how the shortages have already hit, I believe, parts of Africa that relied on Ukraine for wheat. Um, I had just seen that there was a shipment that had gone, it actually was very interesting because it was a country that had defaulted on their,
oh yeah,
was it Sri
Sri
Lanka?
Lanka, yeah, Sri Lanka defaulted on their
So
loans.
10% is owed to, or roughly slightly under, to China, also roughly under 10% to the World Bank. They're in default of their loans. They might have like starvation. Like they don't have enough in their current account. When people do import export as countries,
Yeah,
they probably won't get more food imported, and there is a food shortage. So food shortages around the world triggered by Ukraine, as well as the rising gas prices.
yeah. I think in the US you're kind of fortunate where it's like it probably doesn't hit you as hard, but outside the US, definitely the world is still like hurting, and you can just now that you can travel, people are going outside the US, and
But travel is increasing. Apparently, Delta has increased their prices by 9%, I believe, to keep up with. There's a lot of places pricing in inflation. And so retail is getting kind of beaten down. So, the new entrants in the market to pump your bags, the new suckers are.
yeah, where are we gonna get those? I feel like there's not that many new people retail going into crypto right now for sure.
I
Because
think
like
this is where like it seems though, and then we can kind of transfer to um what happened at the Bitcoin conference,
mhm.
but like seems this is probably where secretly like a lot of industrial
Yeah, the big companies, the corporations, they're
secretly putting on their
buying.
bank
Yeah,
on their balance
balance
sheets,
sheets.
and so doing MicroStrategy increased their stake. It wasn't even news. And then also there's Do Kwon, who's
Yeah, he's buying like 100. He probably bought like $300 million worth of
there, I
Bitcoin the
believe he's
past two
purchasing
weeks.
185 million at a time.
Yeah, and
And he's
it's
just
gonna
like
be about 1 billion because of the reserve funding.
for Luna.
Yeah.
which they also added AVAX to the reserve. So
100
it's like
million. But
now it's like, is it just a slush fund? Is it just a hedge
the
fund
thing
now?
is that every single time, well, I mean, it's all about the fugazi, right? Where it's like
It's a woozy, it's a wazi. Yeah.
you make it so it's so complicated that you don't even know how it works anymore, right?
Yeah, whose money?
That's how the housing market was. Like,
It's
you
like,
know,
well,
who's loaning out to loans anywhere? Like, who's getting these loans?
I got insurance from him on my
Yeah.
house burning down. And then they're betting whether my house burns down with 10 times as much
Yeah,
money as the
10
house
times
is worth.
leverage. So it's like put all these high coins into the reserve, and then
Oh,
then
did you
is
see?
it actually a
This is going to
reserve?
be a free flowing like catch up episode. And so there's a lot of stuff that, and I was talking actually at the Bitcoin conference, and it was really interesting where people were saying that there is a space for this podcast to be topical. And I think that what like I was telling people is that I'm like involved in that. Really, we're not like over analyzing charts or like giving super deep dives into particular technologies, although we're looking to get more guests and do kind of like separate interviews to the normal podcast. But normally, like just staying up to date with what's happening that week can, get you
Is
ahead of the
valuable.
average. Yep. And then people are saying that because they're like, a lot of people, it was weird, would be like testing credentials. And they're like, are you really into this? Like, do you know about this? I was talking about my NFT project. People are questioning, like, are you just some like business school person that
There's
just
a
got
lot
into
of
the space?
scams out there. So it's like
And there's a
people are
lot of like
asking
new,
questions.
there's like the Web 2 people coming into Web 3. And I'm not trying to discourage or disparage the people, but there was a team that was raising funds that was really professional. And it's a guy from Apple, as well as a guy that had just worked in finance his whole life. And the professionalism and the seriousness and the vibes like have changed to a certain extent.
So that's what Daniel was kind of saying. Like last year when we went, you still had people in like weird costumes. You had like, that guy giving out Bitcoin baptisms. And I still
I did see some crazies though.
Yeah,
I did see some crazies. There was one guy, it was like he was like BSV, Bitcoin Satoshi Vision is the truth. And then on the flip side of it, he was like God loves, and he was like, walking around with a guitar. And there were some people like that, but it seemed very like industry insiders and like serious people, and also like secondary professional services, which seemed like that's what you get out of the Bitcoin conference, but also other events just as
I
usual.
feel like last year there weren't that many professional like people handing out like business
just
cards.
kind of random stuff.
It was more like a feeler, like, oh, I'm kind of doing this, but I'm not sure.
No.
But now
and then this was everybody was like, yeah, we're raising a fund, or we're raising our Series B, we're raising our Series A, or like we've been invested in and we service this niche in the market. A lot of people who are like, just like niche products for another angle that we were talking about was coming in and developing cryptolegal.com, which is now, it's somewhat launched, but it's definitely like far from its final form, the original Frieza. But like a lot of people just doing legal services or like financial services, almost like money managers moving into the Bitcoin and crypto space.
Well, I can tell you for sure there's a market for crypto taxing, or like, tax accounts, or being a CPA that specializes.
This year, it feels like
crypto.
Everybody finally got into crypto.
That's a market that's untapped. If you're a CPA or like
it's shooting through the roof,
or if you are experienced, and like you can definitely make some money, or like be a specialist in a very growing field, and that's like something to get ahead at.
Yeah.
Like on crypto Twitter, there's, especially with the tax deadline coming out, they're like all these, tweets saying like, oh, I'm just gonna go to jail because I didn't fill out my taxes correctly, or anybody has like tax references, or like what kind of tax program you use. TurboTax is starting to get like crypto services, and then um, Coinbase is partnering with Coin Tracker, which sucks. Don't use it. Like I think like they totally got all my transactions wrong. But for sure, like crypto and tax and accounting definitely is needed in this space.
And so we were speaking with a company. Actually, there were three separate self-directed crypto IRA managers. And then the intricacies, because I was very interested in speaking with one of the teams about what the different teams have to offer, and it was the different fees, whether they were custodial, non-custodial, where the money is being held, where the coins are being held, what their security is. And so, no, this IRA thing was basically like, everyone's going to be doing this in the future, and you should get ahead of it because you can save on taxes if everything goes up.
Yeah.
And then we have three different companies, and we know them, and we don't mind. And the pie is growing at like and this company was raising their Series B for. I'm going to check at some of the business cards that I got actually, but a Series B is typically, a company starts with seed funding of maybe up to $1 million, perhaps less, but the Series B at 175 million at a valuation of something over $1 billion. I mean, it's kind of incredible how quickly they grew in 2.5 years. 170 employees, and then like
even a year,
2 billion assets under management, where people are, using them for their IRA funds. And then I believe they did very low rates of 1%, but some places would charge 5%, but this is all in a tax-free account. And so with the IRA, people can go up to, $6,000 a year, 6.5 or 7, I think, if you're over 50. And then the self-directed crypto tax IRA is something that we're looking to explain to people on Crypto Legal.
Well, Choice IRA, that's like one of the main companies I know Meltem is a part of, Meltem Demir's. Choice IRA, like, yeah, that's definitely a thing. If you can have tax-free Bitcoin.
Yeah, and I mean, besides that, it was an interesting conversation with this guy who did trust funds for like generational planning. Apparently, upon discussing with him, I went with my dad. We were gonna maybe include him, but he said next time. But he was talking with them, and then he got out of this guy that it was like for the trusts, it was like some type of swap over where there's like giant fees up front. But if you're at this certain level, like a lot of these things are things that people haven't explored because, like my grandpa could have told me about how to do taxes, but crypto taxes, this is a new wild, wild west. And especially with the changing of the rules. I mean, we're going to get into the news about Celsius.
In place. There's no rules in place. Yeah. People say that they're talking with U.S. regulators and they're trying to prepare and, cooperate. And it's just being bad news because I think we're just bowing down. Like for Celsius, for example, very safe way, kind of in between decentralized and centralized, like exchanges or like, custodial
they have an
accounts.
App that you can download off the Google and the Apple store.
And then
they're in touch with regulators.
Like
they do KYC.
It was basically like a Coinbase, but you couldn't trade. Like that was a beta kind of thing or beta testing.
I locked my ETH in there for quite a while.
Yeah, I had my link in there for a very long time because that was like one of the best, or it's still in there. Because that's like one of the best single-sided staking rates.
It's pretty easy to use, to be honest.
Very easy, very Coinbase like user
interface,
but it's like you just swap.
It's just an app.
And so they had like 10% Tether, 7%. It got down to 7%. Very solid rates where it's like I actually made a bet with family members saying like this is going to be around in 5 years. Because it's like such a, it's KYC, they ask for your social security, and, it's very easy rates and, stable rates aren't going anywhere. But they kind of succumbed to US regulators, I guess, I think it's, is it, you think it's a scare tactic, but um
I
so
think that
they
people are going to be
announced.
upset too. I
Well,
think that
I
this is
was
like one of
upset
those things where it's
because
like, it just doesn't make sense.
it doesn't.
Why can people not deposit their crypto to earn a return?
Exactly. So that's
And only if you're
basically
accredited investor. This
this
isn't
past Monday on Celsius, they sent the email saying that you will, for new deposits, if you already have deposits in your account, like for me, I will be still earning interest, but no new money can go in and earn interest unless you're listed as an accredited investor. And in order to qualify as an accredited investor, you need to show income of over, 200,000, 250,000. So that's like the 1%. So somebody tweeted out that got a lot of likes, and I liked it. It was like basically there's two different Americans. One is a 40-year-old man who makes 250,000 a year, no debt, and is able to earn yield on his crypto. Then there's another American 40-year-old man is in debt, negative, makes 40,000 a year, and can't earn interest on his crypto. So it's like two Americas right there, where it's like they're bowing down to Gary Gensler and the 1% basically.
one of the interesting things though is like we look in retrospect where the tax thing is starting to hit a lot more people than it did before. And then there are
Inflation
more
too.
people investing. And I was talking with like some of my aunts and uncles where they were like, our dad used to invest in stuff and like he would get tips from people here and there. And it's like only sophisticated or well off or like intelligent people would invest. Everybody with the internet, it's been democratized basically. Everybody invests. Everybody's having to deal with these things. And I think that people are starting to realize that it's kind of, pardon my French, bullshit. Like
It's rigged. It's a rigged game. It really is, because it's like, what if you look at the stats where it's like 1% of, or like 93% of all the stock market is owned by like the top 1%.
and then I mean the inflation is just really starting to hit people and get people upset about it. People are wondering when people will start to move to Bitcoin as a hedge, but nobody can afford to right now. Like around the world, inflation. I mean, I saw a heartbreaking video out of Shanghai where this guy was like, I have a business, like I pay my employees, like how am I gonna eat? How are they gonna eat? And the guy was just like
Yeah, it's
snapping.
like
It's like
back
it's
at
not really the time in the world that's like particularly, it's like almost I feel like worse than some parts of COVID because it's like it's dragged
well,
on for so long, plus the Ukraine stuff.
yeah.
It like the macro is
It's
dour.
it's so bleak, and it's hard to be optimistic.
But I
So
mean it's like they're the joke accounts where it's like John Rich or something or like and like just these Dr. Patel and they're like, oh yeah, my inflation is like losing me 7%. So I put it in the stock market and I lose 7%
yeah,
every day.
or it's like nine, or yeah,
Like
inflation is
what's a real
8%,
safe
but
haven?
I buy invest in your shit altcoin, I'm down 99%. So it's
It's like
like,
weird people betting on Bitcoin to hedge against the dollar and now they're shitting against or
but
they're
it's kind of, yeah,
hedging
it's
against
like,
their shitcoin longs.
so it's like,
It's like at least this is going to drop less than everything else. Like
so do you just take the 8% loss instead of like the 90% loss at the shot of like being up 20%? So yeah, I think you see a lot of like scalp, people are trying to scalp 20% gains, like, and which is possible to do, but it's just so unpredictable that it's hard to, keep track, or like how very hard to predict. So that's why like people leverage, like don't use leverage.
yeah, man. Did you see the guy?
Yeah, the Korean streamer.
I read a deep dive
Oh,
onto
yeah,
him.
I
So
saw.
this is
Yeah,
like we've been missing out on, and I think it really was what the people were saying was it's like you will get credibility. And Brian and I, yeah, we had the little hiatus, but the consistency of weekly just covering what happened this week, like this week in
yeah. We
crypto.
send
There
each
was
other
a
our like
yeah,
tweets and articles to get it. Like,
but
did you
this
see
guy
this?
did a Was it a 40K,
No, he did like 400. It was like 6
400K,
figures
like
long.
80x leveraged long,
And then he
and then
slept
streamed
through
it?
Yeah, and then
Oh,
he like tried to slip through it and he lost. And then he got
you get
250K
lent to
loan.
him.
Yeah. And then immediately opened like an 80x loan. And so people are making fun of him because it was like it's kind of like a KSI crypto type of thing, where it's like he knows that he's losing this money, but he's like, you kind of think, is this on purpose just to get
So
views?
so this was what it was apparently the background of this guy. He was from Korea, and
He
he
was like
used
a
to
pro
play
streamer. He
a
played video
streamer.
games.
He'd play video games, and then he got into playing card games that were illegal and illegal to
Yeah.
stream.
And then
And
he
then he
was wanted.
ran,
And
and
then he
then he
came back.
came back and then got in jail, but apparently like got bailed out or something. And like,
Or he paid a fine or
so
something.
it's interesting to me how you go to these crypto conferences, and I met shout out Delhi. I think it's Delhi 27. You can find him. He's pretty big. And I found
ASAP
out
Ferg's little brother.
ASAP Ferg's little brother.
Shout out ASAP Ferg.
Yeah, like I would say more about him, but like I didn't. I just met him very briefly. But I was really impressed, and like he had the whale pass, which there was like the hierarchies of. I had the general admission, and the whale pass was quite a bit more to get into, but he was.
And you get this really big lanyard that indicate, like, it's like obnoxious, almost a borderline obnoxious, would you say? That
I don't know. He was
like,
just rocking this one, but talking with him, I like lost my train of thought because it was talking with him, the way that he had made money off of crypto, and it's like there's a lot of these niches and then interesting pathways that people haven't really considered. Where it's like, so this guy is losing money on stream, but he's got reference links and he's
Yeah.
got like donations open, and it's like, is this all like a charade? Like, and I've read
it's
about,
like you take the 250
or you do a
loss.
fake
Yeah.
you do like I remember hearing about like at Bernie Madoff's, where they had the computers, but then like there was like someone behind the wall like typing out the fake numbers to show people.
Yeah.
And it was like they saw computers that they thought were real, and it's like, is this guy actually putting this money up? Like, can you verify it on chain? But I think this one was real.
They verified on chain,
I'm
but I
pretty
think
sure
it's
this
a
one was real.
matter of like, oh, I'm investing 250,000 to make a fool out of myself to, be an internet meme, or like,
And then
to
how much
be
did he get
talked about.
donated?
Yeah,
How much did he get donated?
exactly. People
And then he
felt
gets
sorry.
sponsors or something, or attention and monetizing eyeballs, and like,
Or like he gets Twitch subscribers, like, yeah. So it's like, it's like that meme where it's like the thinker mode one with the black guys, like,
wow.
spending 250,000 to lose, or longing 250,000 that you lose, versus like gaining the internet celebrity that goes with being a meme or something. So
Yeah, and I mean, people were just watching him for hours, and I mean,
but like going back to the Bitcoin conference, like there wasn't that many like announcements like that.
So
Salvador announcement.
the
like,
big announcement was that Jack Mallers had said that Striker, the point of service or the point of sale company, will be using the Lightning network, and that basically, even if you're using fiat, it would be an on and off ramp through Bitcoin that would then be, because like, if you use like a credit card, something might take a few days to clear. If they do these, instantly, and that if you spend dollars, but it moves into Bitcoin, but out of Bitcoin, but then that's the transaction layer, and that actually everything is anonymous. What they're saying is that it's like, you can pay Bitcoin anywhere and it'll get immediately transferred to dollars on the Bitcoin network. But also, if you're just using dollars, it'll get transferred through Bitcoin into dollars, like immediately back again. And so some people are saying it's like, yeah, anywhere you can do an off ramp from Bitcoin. So you could just pay with Bitcoin anywhere. And then this network is going to start competing with like the payment service companies that we have now. which is kind of huge.
Strike is like, or Striker, is it Striker?
Yeah.
They're like one of the big, he's on like a lot of the news cycle. Like when they talk about Bitcoin, they get him on. And yeah,
I think Strike's the company though.
yeah, it's
Mallers.
STRYKE.
Yeah.
It's spelled weird.
But I mean, they have all these point of service like contact areas that around the world could be Bitcoin off ramps. And what they're saying is that there's non KYC. So if they're just going to start accepting Bitcoin from however they can accept it without asking who you are and doing the digital tracking.
That's crazy. I mean,
and I think the dominoes are starting to fall a lot around the world. A lot of places are doing what El Salvador did.
Yeah,
which is almost
Brazil
like the same
announced today too that they're going to be announcing pro Bitcoin legislation, and then also like South Korea, they elected the guy who won the election was very pro crypto, trying to be more of an innovation. So I think a lot, the midterms are coming up, right? So especially with this executive order, a lot of people, especially on crypto Twitter, will be like, very listening into who is pro crypto and who is not. And they have like the power of the internet. Like, who's that? Loomis? Is she from Wyoming or Tennessee or something?
She's from the Midwest. She's not from one of the coasts.
No, like Midwest or Wyoming. Like it's like two different coasts, but it's like
I just know she's not one from one of the big states.
No. She's but I think she's like
she's very
Republican. Pro. She's very pro crypto, but she's saying a lot of smart things about crypto. And like even Ted Cruz, like I don't really like Ted Cruz, but he's taken the pro Bitcoin route too in order to like try to gain votes. I think like being pro crypto,
it's just smart. I don't know who is against it.
Yeah,
and they might try to demonize it. I know Elizabeth Warren does, but
well, she's paid by the banks. Like Nancy Pelosi is definitely gonna be against it, right? Like these people who've earned money off banks, and that's why there's a lot of FUD going on while banks are buying money, right? Or banks are buying crypto, is because they want to throw you off I feel like don't, like I'm not a conspiracy theorist like type of person, but there's a purpose to throwing people off the trail, right? And trying to up your position because it's a game. It's like a mind game within game. So like don't believe definitely do your research and don't hear things on first and just believe they're true basically.
Yeah, but I mean, steering back to kind of like the conference and what I felt about it and applying it to major things, it's inevitable. It's just slowly eating things away. It's getting more professional. The big gains are maybe in the past,
I know, that's what I was thinking too, where it's like
just like this is like it's here to stay.
And that was
maybe like the bigger gains are like if you get involved at the ground floor or if you get into like it's like a business or something.
It's a bear market thing.
Yeah. Or if you're smart at DeFi, but like some of the really crazy Ponzi's and some of the really crazy but there'll be some new things that shoot through the roof. I mean, wasn't Near the one that like recently was?
Well, the Near thing is that during the Bitcoin conference, how I found out about Near was actually from last year from the Bitcoin. They hosted events, Near protocol events. I didn't know what Near was, and then it pumped during the Bitcoin conference last year, and then Z he wrote about Near as the second tier layer ones are about to pump, and then they announced before this Bitcoin conference, 2022, is that they're gonna have their own stable coin that depeg later. But it was up 20% while everything was down, 20%. So it was one of the few gainers, but now it's back down. So it's like it hasn't depegged at all. So
but it was in the story. There were some people that wrote it up, but yeah, it just retraced. It was the full roller coaster ride.
The full wormhole,
yeah.
dip,
But I was gonna mention another piece of news where it was like, I forgot which protocol or which stablecoin will have its reserve managed by BlackRock. I was like,
oh shit,
it's over. It's
yeah,
it's like
over. But once you mentioned
once
BlackRock,
BlackRock is in, you're just like,
it's like fuck.
all right,
We're
like
fine.
pack your bags, like it's over.
They got trillions in asset management, but
Yeah, 10 trillion, I believe, because I was reading about
I
them.
think that's the
They're
case for
managing like
Ohm,
50 million.
honestly.
Well, and I was seeing about how Ohm is like, I mean, their yield farms are like putting out 15 million a month. Their stable
No,
yields.
that's the pro. They're doing like 30 million. I'd say 15 million is from like the Olympus. No, you're right. Olympus Pro, their bonding service probably makes like 500,000, but the rest of it is the bonding. They make like 15 million a month or like 20 million a month. And there's been rumors about the Zeus paper that hasn't been totally released, but it's been like passed around in circle or talking about like a range. So, to combat, you know, extreme price, dumps because it definitely got hurt by, DeFi, all these ohm forks failing. And so people sold, but it was actually, nothing was really changed. I mean, I'm still in it, but they're still building and he proposed like a range to kind of get it back or, get it back to triple digits and then not in how it can, um, combat huge price decreases like we saw in January.
Let's just move into the shills because like I think it's been short and sweet, and we'll look to get back in the rhythm of like once on the weekends. And so
I
Saturday
do
the
want to
T Wolves
mention the
are.
bull. I do want
Oh
I do
yeah,
want to
yeah,
mention
yeah.
the bull. So they released the New York City bull, you know, they released a replica. Um, but it was cool. But it had no balls. It had no balls. And crypto is all about balls. Because as you notice, like this is what I've noticed within this past year, because this has probably been the anniversary, when we went to when I went to the last Bitcoin conference, we were just getting into crypto, clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose, type of mentality. And then now you're in, so much has happened.
It's the roller coaster.
And people ask you about crypto when things are high, when it's in mainstream, but no one asks you about crypto when it's a bear market, when you should actually buy, right? So it's like,
What's gonna be there in 5 years?
or even the next year.
We're on our way to the shills as was. So Brian, you want to go ahead with your show?
Yeah, I'm like all about farming right now. I think right now with the bear market, you're really beneficial to get some yield, and not just any shitcoin, but like large, like well-known high market top 100 coin, something like that. And I think what I just learned how to do was, AVAX with staked AVAX. You can do the LP pool, but what I think is, but the APY is only like 15%, so it's like lower. But I think right now, if you do Joe with Avalanche and you do the LP pool, because they're pretty correlated, and you'll get like 50% on Yield Yak. I've been using Yield Yak, and that I think this is the time to learn how to LP pool and farm, because impermanent loss is very low right now. As far as it's a down market, you're just trying to accumulate. I think we're going to be in a bear the rest of the year. Goblin Town gang right here. So I think right now it's the LP pool. I'm really disappointed in the Celsius move. I was really banking on that 7% stables, but you like look for 10% stables to anchor, 19% they say, but I think Duke Kwan, like it's different
It moves
because
up and down because the 20%,
they're burning a lot of money.
the fabled 20% is actually like
It's
unsustainable.
truly 11%. I think what they said, or like they're looking at it like it's a 20%, but it's unsustainable. You like if you notice like Celsius this past year, it was like 10%, for a long time, and then it went to 7, and then now it's gone. But like Link 2, like it was at 7, it was at 5, it was at 3, and now it's at like 2. So I think single-sided staking is good, but I think you can get a lot more yield with LP pooling, and it's not that hard to learn. Just have half of each coin, and there's plenty of YouTube videos that will teach you how to LP pool now.
Yeah. And I was just going to mention from that where it's like, the stable coin, like the idea of farming, I heard someone else tell me that it's basically like a marketing expense where then you get people invested into it, but you're spending money. And so, ideally, if you're like a token protocol, like they should just want to hold your coin, and then you're rewarding people and you're kind of taking it out of your own pocket to do that. So it's something to think about where these rewards aren't going to last forever. And if you get the correct rewards, you make a lot more. And that basically you're taking a transfer of money from the protocol to yourself, but they're paying for your loyalty. And then hopefully for you to be a holder and then to spread the good word of whatever shitcoin you're staking for whatever. And it's like almost better if it's not insane, numbers.
I mean, all you got to be is competitive.
Yeah.
Right.
And like maybe you're early, but then maybe it's a little secret. And I know some people that just chase those little farms that are super secret, but
nothing. I think this is actually a big lesson that I think I've learned is that nothing lasts forever. Nothing good ever lasts. Where it's like you have to be like, yeah, 900 APY is nice, but you'll get that for like a couple weeks, like not a whole year. You can't bank on 80,000 APY the whole year, like time. But nothing lasts, and you gotta be cognizant. And I think this is if you're in crypto now, you're caring about your money and your like finances right now. And then so you're constantly tracking that. I think being in crypto kind of helps that. Like, keeping track of your money, being secure about it.
Yeah. For me though, it's a different thing, and it's kind of like the ecosystem. But what I was gonna say is the music NFT scene, the ecosystem.
That's what we also didn't. I
But
didn't
it's like
ask you about
it's
the
hard to.
NFTs from last year.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, we can cover the NFT segment on the next podcast. But it's like the music NFTs and how it can disrupt the crypto industry, and then people moving into it, and then how to invest in it and get exposure. So I was seeing people doing really like series A and like seed funding for like good projects with like people from Apple. Like I mentioned, I went to a very fancy NFT party.
Web 2 is leaving, or people from Web 2 are leaving to go to Web 3, which is
crypto. But like,
like
you go from like crypto punks, which are pixelated, to Bored Apes, which are drawings that some people think are ugly. And then you start moving into music and NFTs, and it's like, okay, this is gonna be a whole new thing that people haven't figured out yet.
Concert experience. I think that's a huge thing. Like Coachella
proof of actual participation, POAPs,
or like you can
proof of attendance or something.
Yeah, proof of attendance, but also like giving out like a special like moment. Kind of what like Kanye has been doing with these concerts, or like Donda release, where it's like CD releases, bonus concerts, only releasing songs,
the Nigerian coffin holder, or the pole bearers.
Yeah, the
meme sold for $1 million.
Yeah,
I love the meme. It's like a really good meme whenever someone's like dead, and it's like if someone gets buried.
Or like the Undertaker, like coming back to life. Like
certain memes are going to be worth a lot. And then now the commercial rights for the Bored Apes are being purchased by Coinbase for $10,000 per person to be put in their 3 movies.
Yeah, they're gonna make Bored Ape movies,
A
a
trilogy.
production company. That sounds so. I feel like that movie's gonna suck.
Sounds cringe.
That's like when you try to make Warcraft movies, the cartoon Warcraft movies, and try to capitalize.
Careful though. I like the Warcraft movie, and I always thought
You
that,
like that movie?
I thought Blizzard should have gone more into the movies. I was disappointed because it could have been better.
But it's gonna be a half-ass. That's how you know it's gonna be a half-ass.
I think in the future,
they start
though,
their own
But
production.
the thing
company.
is, they have such good IP, and it's like we've been watching Succession, and then there's the tech, which is NFTs, but making movies
The
out of Bored Ape, like the
marketplace.
IP is shit. Like it's gonna be
Or like-
NFTs of Disney shit. It's gonna be like, it's gonna be Disney song NFTs. Dude,
There's gonna be a whole
get
Marvel
the Little
NFT.
Mermaid. Yeah, it's gonna
like
Marvel
Marvel-
movies.
yeah.
And, it's cringe. It's kind of sad. So, on the last note, it's bet on the industry vultures taking all the profits, and then sorry with inflation.
Think of any like 3-second video clip, you can monetize it and turn it into NFT and sell it.
I saw there's the Blues Clues guy. Is it Steve or something?
Yeah.
Where he points out, and it's like a clue, but like it's like behind him are like red candles, and he's like, buy the dip, like, dude,
This
no,
is
it's gonna
the
keep
dip.
dipping. We're all dead, bro. We're all gonna die. So bet on smarter, richer people taking the money. I don't know. That's a sad way to say it, but
Be careful, be wary.
yeah, be smart and try to find out, at the flip side,
Be
there were a
wary
lot of people
scams.
that were like, Tesla, electric cars, it's a good idea. And there were a lot of really rich, smart people that shorted it. So sometimes I was talking about it with my dad, a couple of them. There's a lot of people who are like, dude, I'm into UFC and I like chicken wings, and I go to B-dubs to watch UFC, and I'm going to invest in them. And a lot of those people got rich. And Chipotle, where they're like, dude, we have a friend that goes to Chipotle all the
He's a
time.
manager. I know how to build or how they
do a
make
good-
the guacamole.
They do a good job. And then if you invest in these things, I would say, and this is why it's so tough, where the NFT music ecosystem, something's going to hit. How to figure out what, there's like nothing that even, you can't even name. So I'll give you one name, sound.xyz. I heard their name. And so let's see, but there's no clear even front runner. And it's like really not.
It's up for grabs.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people just want the short, like I talk about the short game and the long game. Like,
but whoever gets
or
this
like
is
the
going to like
finite
really
game
hit it.
and the infinite game. There's so many people want to take the finite game and get the money, get out, scam you, get out. There's so many celebrities, Floyd Mayweather, Lana Rhoades, porn star, or like people are trying to make NFT, Kim Kardashian even trying to get these NFT projects, and just Darren Fox is probably going to get sued, like trying to, rug people who have no business rugging people, no need to rug people. And they just do that because it's easy money. So it's like, it's really hard to like right now, especially in a bear market, so many scams. I'm getting so many like Twitter tags about like,
it's an epidemic. It's an epidemic with
It's
like
so
20
bad.
40 people's names.
exactly.
It's a problem.
So bear market, the scams come out. So even I got an email from a family member today where it's like people are phishing to drain Bitcoin accounts, like scam and like
Be careful.
so be careful, especially in this bear market.
Yeah,
then that-
bullish on VPNs and
farming.
tech security.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
some people say to get a whole separate laptop for crypto.
Bullish on
transactions.
getting separate laptops for crypto
And
transactions.
that's something I want to like get into, and when I actually have money worth storing is being secure, getting that hardware wallet, and that's how it is.
Totally. Well, peace out. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll be with you
Peace.
guys soon.
That was our Miami recap. We'll probably follow up on that, but
Yeah, get back in the rhythm of it.
but this is our after a while, so peace.